You've been being hyped for it. Do you guys like the tiny a little bit more for this? I know you briefly touched on it, gods, but
Yeah.
for you sheep, do you like it more now that it's picked later? Do you think it has the ability to have more of an impact?
I do. Yeah, I think something they have going for them this time is that there is not that much burst damage. Like Fnatic last game, between the E-Blade on the Coddle and DJ Hoodwink ult, right? This is so much damage, they could pop anyone, like Tiny really struggled to fight into it.
Yeah.
This game they don't really have that. Fnatic are probably playing a kiting game. And it's probably...
Yeah. But at the same time, kiting games
Right.
against Pugna means like whichever here, kiting can just be life trained up. It's weird because I
Yeah.
feel like you want to go kiting versus Tiny, but at the same time you also want to burst heroes versus Pugna, which is maybe where that's why they banned the Void, like
Yeah.
Chrono, Invoker, Cataclysm combo. But
Maybe they just want to get like pickoffs going, like that's
Yeah.
their game. Because you have a Nature's Prophet, so what's going to likely happen in this game for them is Monkey will try and scout heroes, start with the stun, Nature's is TPing in, like Invoker maybe like Ghost Walk connects, and then they try and kill like that.
definitely feels like playing some of these like range carries versus Tiny is gonna like work a bit better. Like Drow to me looks good for Fnatic. Like into Necro and Tiny, I like it, but they have no jump for a Drow. But at the same time, I'm like, well, does that? I don't know. It doesn't actually like Drow NP Invoker doesn't sound like a good draft for me. Just seems like a nice little counterpick.
I'm
Wait,
having the
what?
best day of my life.
Similar. I mean, it's that range carry, similar-ish, I guess, idea to the Drow, just way cooler.
I love Arc. I get a
Way
Meepo
cool.
and an Arc Warden in one day.
Well, now you get your 5-minute spiel
Yeah, this is
of
your-
Arc Warden. Please take it away, sheep.
Arc Warden is really sad this patch. they
I love the start.
So they nerfed the amount of damage that his clone does if he's a certain amount of distance away from you. So they heavily nerfed this like 100% uptime like ultra rat Arc Warden build.
Mhm.
Haven't personally like spammed him in pubs and we haven't seen him in pro matches, so it's hard to say how good or bad he is now. Like that's why I'm so excited to see this. I've been like really curious about the strength of Arc Warden. He's definitely a little bit different. I don't know if the plan now is that you run him as more of like a you stick together with your clone
Yeah,
and just try and do
5-man
stuff.
with all your nukes and spark rates. I don't
Yeah.
know.
I can't wait to see his item build.
Yeah.
With the changes, does it make the game duration as long as the old Arc Warden before?
Oh, he can still hold his base for 10 years. Oh, hell yeah. Because you just
Yeah.
have to sit in the base for that one.
Yeah, that's what I thought. So we're going to bring in Aries and Fog to get a little bit of info from them. Fog, if you want to start, give me some of your insight about these two lineups.
Oh, jeez. I haven't seen or casted an Arc Warden game or played versus an Arc Warden or anything at all. Zero's a bit of a mystery. It seems like he's more about like joining with your team to be able to fight, but from at least what I see from Fnatic is they are looking to split up the map a bit here with this Nature's Prophet core pick. They do have good dispels and everything to fight with the Invoker versus this Pugna Necrophos group up that we see T1 going for. But just a different kind of style of drafting because it's just more, it feels more split push oriented for Fnatic, but yeah, I'm just unsure for the Arc Warden.
For yourself, Aries, anything you want to add?
This Arc Warden pick is very interesting. Fnatic, it's a wild draft. We saw them be able to have a really strong game one, but for T1, I like this puck pick a lot. I feel like it's something they needed. Some catch, a way to get to the back line. Your spirits were gone. There's not a lot of control from Fnatic to deal with Carl's puck, and he has a very good puck. So if anyone can put them in a position to send this to a game 3, it could be Carl on the puck.
Interesting. Then it's going to be my two questions. The one at always, which team do you think is going to be taking game 2? But this time, how long do you think the game's going to go for?
I'm liking T1 here. I'm just so doubtful about Arc Warden being a hero. There's a reason. Every time I see these heroes, I'm like, there's a reason no one's picking this, surely. And I think they've just got a really good draft. Like what the puck brings to the table. Like they've got the Tiny in lane against this Nature's Prophet. I think they have the answers.
Game length? Before Sheep takes over?
I think 33.
Okay.
I think the game goes 38 minutes, and I'm gonna cope really hard and just say Arc Warden. Raven's the god, man. This dude he's bringing LD back to see. Like that hero doesn't see any play. Arc Warden doesn't see any play. He's running it.
Alrighty, well, they're split on the panel, even though they're similar in time. But Aries and Fogged, take it away for game 2 and let me know the answers you guys have for the same questions.
But I don't know how we would ever be able to guess how long the game's going to go for when we're watching an Arc Warden. Like, this is such a difficult one to be able to guess.
Yeah, it's like 30, 36 for T1, or 59 to 82 for Fnatic. No, I'm not sure. Like, and hopefully, hopefully my mic is not blowing up people's ears this time as well too. But yeah, it looks like T1 has a more comfortable draft. They have a lot of different fun combos too. They have the tiny puck, the coil into toss, which can be really good. A lot more team fight, it feels like this time around too, with their Treant plus Necrophos. Lots of healing as well too. Lots of sustain coming in, and they're not playing versus a super broken Coddle. They are playing versus the Invoker, but Invoker doesn't dish out nearly as much damage as a Coddle with an advantage. So yeah, in theory, like T1's looks a little bit easier to play, but Fnatic's has just got the bizarre factor.
Has the bizarre factor indeed, and I do not remember now already the panel's at least guesses in regards to time, but I'm just gonna chuck out a time and we'll go 42 minutes and 11 seconds. I'm happy with that, and I like T1, like we kind of were mentioning off screen. I think this puck is just what they were needing out of it. An Arc Warden always excels against ranged matchups where you're unable to get inside the bubble, and I feel like the puck can just force you to stand your ground and maybe allow the Tiny to gap close. And their previous heroes, the supports don't really give them control. You need a blink on the tree to be able to at least have this team fight. So I think the puck really outrounds the flaws that they had, and could put them in quite a position to take this.
Yeah, no, totally agree. They already have this, like, they have a lot of, like, pesky heroes that they have to address, right? Like, there's this Necrophos that's going to have to tank a lot of spells, so that's going to be annoying for Fnatic to perhaps deal with. Then you have limited stuns and disables for a puck who's already kind of pesky and annoying. And then there's a Tiny also. Like, it just feels like it could be a lot of things that Fnatic can get stuck dealing with, and they don't really have the same thing as last time where there's, like, I mean, their draft was a little weird last time because the Coddle ended up super carrying. They had good vision aspect to play around it, but this time they have even less ways to initiate fights. They have great vision, again, with this draft, but they don't have, like, a Beastmaster Roar. They don't even have, like, Hoodwink catch. Their actual, like, real only catch is going to be coming from Monkey King and Invoker. So a lot of eyes, it feels like, on Armel this time. And he did deliver last time, so could be a good person to put a lot of that pressure on.
And I feel like he could deliver this time as well. The Costwex plus Spirit Vessel. It's a very good Spirit Vessel game against the Necro, against the Tiny, to mitigate a little bit of the heal from the Pugner as well. So if that's a route Armel wants to go down, because he's going to be on a high horse in this second game. We saw what he could do on the Cube of the Light, was involved in a vast majority of the kills in game one, but it's just a question of, can he continue that into the second game?
Yeah, and he's going to be... he's also going to be, now we'll flip it a little bit on the other side, is like, he's going to have the gun on him most situations and most fights. Like, puck is going to go on him, but then that could open up availability on the other side, right, for the Arc Warden and the NP to really start taking over, because there can be, I guess, like, some limited disables on T1 also. They have Tiny and Puck with the main ones, which are really good, but could see, maybe the same situation happens where there's just too many things to deal with, because Fnatic's gone, very greedy, which... In SEA, for some reason, it feels like the greed does work a lot of the time, but...
I don't know how they keep getting away with the greed. I'm still trying to work out how we're watching an Arc Warden. Like you said, when the panel threw it over to you, I cannot remember the last time I saw an Arc Warden, so this is going to be very interesting to see. I want to see how he looks to what the item build is going to be, if it's anything different to the past kind of games that whenever Arc Warden was being played.
Yeah, and I feel like, do you deviate from, like, your Gleipnir kind of stuff? Like, right? Like, it feels even better now that you want to be fighting with the Arc Warden. I'm not sure. Maybe it's like your Orchid, your Gleipnir. Orchid looks good because you're versus Puck and you have unlimited disable, so maybe he goes something like that. Orchid. I'm not sure. I'm really curious, and I'm looking forward to learn, especially about Arc Warden, because I actually I was bringing it up yesterday. I think I was looking at, like, Dota Pro Tracker, and I saw, like, nobody really playing this hero. I was looking at ET and Arc Warden, actually, and it was like, these heroes are just unpicked.
Of course you were looking at ET. If anyone's going to look at Elder Titan and his pick rate, it's definitely you.
Well, the hero's garbage right now, so I'm just trying to see, like, if pros are playing it. So it does look like some people... I checked a couple of days ago about Arc Warden, and it looks like some more people have been playing it. There's some tops in games. Looks like he just did Mjolnirs. It looks like it's the standard. Treads, Dragonlance, 2 Wraithbands, Maelstroms on everybody. No Gleipnirs, though. It all seems to be... Lots of Mjolnir, Dragonlance, Hurricane Pikes, kind of standard builds.
I wonder if he does consider the Gleipnir bid, though, in this game, because against the puck, and you don't have a lot of control. You're really
what I'm
going to
thinking.
be relying on like the boundless into cold snap and hoping that's enough. So really does look like a pretty good Gleipnir build if he's going to go down that route.
Yeah, it just gives him a lot of good mixed damage and good stats and everything too. I mean, we'll see how it all plays out. I think the more important thing is really just going to be about like how much are they going to be able to split up the map, because it really looks like that's the main thing. Even though Arc Warden, as we've mentioned 100 times, it's changed, of course, with your illusion thing. It's just like, sorry, with your Tempest double. Shouldn't say illusion, people will yell. But yeah, the Nature's Prophet and everything of just splitting up the map versus this slower draft that T1 has, because as you can see, they're pretty immobile. Something else we were talking about off cast is just like this Necrophos, Pugna, and Tiny. It's like when you see where Necrophos is, that's usually where he's stuck, the lane that position is, because he's just a very immobile hero. So maybe they're just looking to full out go for this split kind of play, take the game late as we were mentioning, and then yeah, that's why they went for Arc Warden.
We do have Game 2 back underway, an all-important series as well. Fnatic, of course, they've already booked their ticket over to the Mage up at T1, looking to finalize that slot right here and right now. But they need to send it to a Game 3. If they're unable to take this series, then they will be forced into tiebreakers with Polaris and potentially another team in SMG if they can beat Boom as well. But that's some other series down the line. It's all on this game in particular.
Yep. And let's see. So let's take a look at our wards really quick. Last time we didn't really get to go over them because things like smoked and we kicked off pretty quick. But identical mid wards placed. I don't know if Carl actually saw. I didn't see if they smoked that and placed that one on the side of Fnatic. So it might get dewarded if they got it, if they did see it. Bottom, Sentry was placed to unblock the hard camp. So T1 will have side pull available, which is really important with a tree necro lane. All about forcing the wave out, pulling the side. And they could apply a good amount of pressure versus Arc Warden. Like I'm just gonna really be looking at bottom lane for the most part myself. The Arc Warden plus Weaver lane versus Tree and Necrophos. I want to see how Raven's gonna do.
Top Jabs is taking a little bit of damage, but yeah, a bit more than that. He doesn't have the greatest amount of resources, and DJ, he does have a double set of tangos to feed over into the Nature's Prophet. I do want to ask real quick, what do you feel like this lane ward or the dire ward behind the tower is meant for? Is this just trying to set up the lanes, or?
I don't know if the lanes were that unexpected. I think this is just like Obs wards at the early start. It's just like you want to get some type of information and like just hope it doesn't get dewarded. I think this is like you can snipe some couriers, you get some information about stacks. It's just an informational ward, really. It's just all about not getting that ward dewarded. Dewarding, like losing your Obs wards, it's like so crucial. You just give them level 2 first and stuff. So, and speaking of other things, looking at bottom, I was mentioning how they unblocked the hard camp. They now reblocked it, and the Sentry actually is not going to be able to reach and unblock, while we see Zephyr also block small camp. So all about lane control, those little things.
With the Necrophos naturally going to have the lane shoved out, and Arc Warden wants to be playing back to the safety of his tower. And you also really want a lot of the lane to play with as a Weaver. You've got ridiculous movement speed, just being able to chase heroes down and, you know, juke out into the tree line.
Yeah, I'm really curious to see how it's going to go. Because in theory, it should look like Raven should farm pretty nicely down here, because it's just going to constantly be pushed into him, but we'll see how that ends up happening. Taking a look at these other lanes, these Invokers I've seen do really well versus almost everybody lately, especially versus like Puck. I would imagine that the Invoker is going to do still really well. Top, the Tiny Pugna did incredibly well last game. That was the one lane that I was like, wow, they actually got like kills. They slowed down the farm of the Beastmaster too, so they were really impressive. So I think that, again, Gabby should have a pretty free time up here.
Yeah, it seems like with all the ways you can deal with the summons, it's just a little bit of extra gold and also experience, but it just more importantly makes it difficult for Jabs to play this lane. Like the power of the Nature's Prophet is being able to outlast it and out-deny, but it's a little bit more difficult now with your micro in this lane.
Yeah, like Tiny can always just clear through the trees pretty easily, but he doesn't have to watch out about the poke. That's one thing for Gabby. He should be able to farm fine up here, but just the poke can start to get a little overwhelming if DJ is able to keep Jingu up. And then trees plus Jingu can be a little annoying, but we're seeing, you know, first few levels, not going to matter for them. And at T1, off to a much better start, all 3 lanes.
I'm quite cheerful.
And we didn't see T1 in our previous game put a lot of emphasis on stacking up the Ancients. Do you feel like this is going to be a game that can be a little bit different, or do they still not really have the tools to maybe enable some of their cores to get that flash farm back in the jungle?
I think last game they actually had better opportunities to go stack Ancients. I think now it's like if Zephyr leaves this Necrophos bottom, he dies. So I think Zephyr has to stay down here, which means that they just really can't on this side. While up top, I mean, Fnatic, they can get stacks going whenever. Like DJ can go stack. He can leave Jabs alone. So I think T1 again, they're not going to have stacks, I would imagine.
Which is a bit concerning because you have this stack clearer in the Tiny. Someone's going to excel at being able to clear these at a rapid rate and then move on from there. But I think for me and how I'm looking for the early game is what Jabs wants to do and how they play around the Nature's Prophet. Your level 6 is a ridiculous amount of damage, and I'm a big fan of the Fury on TPing mid and kind of pairing with the Quaswex Invoker.
Yeah, or even like bottom, right? Like Necrophos can be a hero that's pretty susceptible to that huge magic damage that comes out from an NP early. They 3-man him, he's just dead because that long chase you have in the off lane.
What can you do, brother?
So, see how Armel's going? Just a lot of aggression onto Carl. It's a much better time for Carl. Of course, the Sand King into the Keeper of the Light was a very difficult matchup, and we saw kind of through the entirety of the game, but Carl on his puck, if he can get off to a good start, then it feels like a very good puck game to take over.
Yeah, he does have to. I mean, we can talk about this. We'll see what happens when we get there. And if we get there, there's also the leash mechanic that's going to be coming out too, right? From the NP at 20, if he decides to go for that this game, which is probably likely versus puck. But that's one thing that I think we'll see when we get there. I think it's going to be a little weird if Fnatic gets to the point where they're getting like level 20 on NP and stuff. I think T1 might be in a rough spot, but who knows? We'll see how after all the lanes play out. But yeah, Carl, that's one of the things he does have to be a little careful for. Does get the rune bottom. Well, does make the move all the way down, but unable to take it away.
We'll see what T1 can do with this now, because they didn't bring any supports to try and secure one of the water runes, so they do have both their supports top and bottom, but Raven is okay. He's got the creep position out front of the T1 tower, so he's not really under too much pressure when Genuel was.
Yeah, he's still getting slowed down. 26-4 to the 17-1. He's getting last hits most of the range creeps with his Spark Wraith, but Cuckoo and Zephyr are doing a great job of getting these range denies early too. Cuckoo pushing lane in constantly.
This is... We've seen T1, they have played the Necrophos at a very, very high level. We saw the 3 games in a row where they first phased it, and then ever since then, teams were starting to bend it out in the first phase. They were giving the respect to Cuckoo's Necrophos, and this is a game where Fnatic don't feel like that was required, and Cuckoo picking up at the second phase. But yeah, T1 are very comfortable with it, but he will be under some pressure with the rotation down from DJ.
This is a good move. This is a needed move, it feels like.
And I'm still waiting to find our first blood, and Zephyr's going to give that one over to Raven as the Arc Warden. Thank you very much. A mass influx of gold given over to the position 1.
Okay. I mean, it feels like it's a kind of needed move because the lanes are definitely going in favor of T1, and he knows he can leave the Furion alone, or the Nature's Prophet alone. And now, I mean, Cuckoo could also get punished because he's gone 2-0-2. So if they can actually get on top of him if he steps up a little too far, it's a pretty easy kill. And they see the Treant, I believe, TPing in the mid lane too. So now they're going to know that Cuckoo's alone. Yeah, he's getting jumped.
Just some poke and prod. Said Cuckoo, no point in the Ghost Shower, but he's got plenty of one charges to play with. Try and stand his ground and push back Fnatic. This is leaving Mitz alone. As Carl's going to drop the cord. Genuel's going to try and step in, but the Weaver doesn't provide too much. Maybe that's where Jabs can come into play. They'll still lose the life for the Invoker as Carl's able to get out of trouble. So a big rotation. It's actually T1 that steps in the mid lane first before Jabs thinks about getting active.
No, there must have been a lot of communication going off from both sides there, because if they kept the Weaver bottom, he actually would have gotten the kill on the Necrophos with the Monkey King, but they must have been calling for the rotation because he ran straight to mid to try to help the Invoker, but not much that he can really do to help there, so maybe a bit of a
Cuckoo.
misrotation. Cuckoo
gets the one out. Fairy Fire as well if needed, but just out to the side of the Spark Wraith.
Ooh. That's very close. He is getting, I mean, that's pretty big, right, for Fnatic. They've been able to now completely catch up Raven on last hits, and slowed down Kuku's levels. He's only level 4, almost 5 on the Necro, but 5 and change on Arc Warden.
I'm not gonna even think about bringing Genuel back down bottom. But I
They
like
saw
this,
Whitemon.
like you
They have the ward, so they did see the Pugna rotating down, so they're trying to match it. We have a 3v3.
don't have TP on Armel if they are needed, but this is a good timing on T1 with the catapult wave.
Just watch out for the Wrath of Nature. Level 6 now on Nature's Prophet. That's the one thing T1 has to be careful of. Here it comes.
And it's coming in with the teleport too. Jabs so much burst on Kuku. The Ghost Shroud is out, but he doesn't have a way to cut through the Sprout. Zephyr's trying to stand his ground and beat onto Genuel, but the Weaver so pesky, they don't have a way to catch up to the bug as Fnatic. The +1s are going to be so difficult for T1 to deal with through the entirety of this game.
That was... I guess they didn't see that he was hitting 6 already on the NP. That was a really overzealous movement. Like, just going past the tower was just too much when you're playing versus NP. In the meantime, though, importantly, you know, we were saying that they're maybe not going to have time to get these stacks going. Whitemon's actually made his way over. They have great stacks this game. 3 on Ancient, 3 on Hard Camp. Prepared for that Tiny.
See, Carl's even going into the treads first instead of maybe like a boots into Witchblade, or just brown boots into Witchblade, I should say. So wanting to maybe tank up a little bit more.
Okay.
He's got
Raven.
Coil and a Raven. They still are without the Scythe on Kuku. You'd love to find the first charge of the game, but the damage is plentiful to cut off the life of Raven. A little bit too late for his TP.
Yeah, no help there. Onewill was on his own mission to block some camps and check stuff out. I think he was just shy of maybe catching that gank on the Weaver there, but yeah, they find Raven. Great gank set up there from Carl. And yeah, like you said, treads. Interesting. Just wanted to tank up, and I guess he feels like he's probably going to be doing a lot of like actual attacking and right-clicking in the fights with Witchblade, because they just have the limited catch on him. So feels like a nice game for him to be able to do that if he wants to go down that route.
I think another interesting item build is that Armel is opting for a Midas before Spirit Vessel.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, what are your thoughts about this?
I mean, we did say that their draft is all about greed, right? I mean, that's raising it even more so, but okay. I mean, that feels very greedy if he does go for it. Like, I don't know. Not really a huge fan if he does go for the Midas before the Vessel, gotta be honest. I feel like they're gonna just lose too much map control, but we'll see.
Seeing that be an issue right now. Once again, Kuku down bottom. He's got the Scythe this time. I'm not gonna wrap all the way over, but doesn't get the connection. Oh, Jesus, that Wrath of Nature taking Kuku down to half. He's gonna get a little bit of bonus health back, but it doesn't matter as Fnatic. The poke from afar gives them an easy kill, and now they're eyeing up Zephyr. But the stuns are lacking, so it'll just be the kill onto the Necrophos.
That was, how much did that hit for? That was like 400, like last bounce, right? It looked like just clipped him. I mean, we'll see. We'll see if this Midas does end up working out for him first, because it is the very greedy route. But their draft is all about greed, so yeah, it's just an interesting approach. Carl, it's on jabs.
Yeah, I don't know if he gets this. Needed a +1. I too am mirroring this with the Midas. I just, for me, because I feel like T1 just run over this game with the greed, and I think you needed the Spirit Vessel to be able to deal with the tankiness that comes out from the Necro and kind of the tiny pre-BKB. We'll see if that is truly going to be an issue though, but Fnatic have to keep these early towers.
Yeah, it's just really interesting if he does. Because I feel like it's just they might not have the kill opportunity then for the Necrophos, because they are a bit lacking on that magic damage front, right? They have the Dispel, the Tornado, and all that, but when you look at their draft, it's like the Wrath of Nature, some like Tempest Double, and you know your Invoker are the ones to really burst down the Necro. If he's not killed early, like the map control is just going to be a big problem. So I mean, yeah, we'll see. Kind of cool. And we're seeing that pressure already. Whitemon starting to blast bottom tower from the tree lines.
And simultaneously, we're also seeing, actually hold that thought, bottom lane, TP's down. Whitemon in a good position to be able to scout out Armel, but DJ already in a location to be able to block off the escape avenue. So another TP down that nets him a kill on a support. You're kind of hoping to get a hoping to get a bit more? I feel like you're okay, especially with the greed.
Yeah. Anything you can get this early game. When you've got this super greedy draft, like anything you can get, as we see. T1 starting to set up for their farm here. It's going to get soaked from the other side.
Jabs is going to go down. Okay, so Carl, that was not even coil used. It looks like the overgrowth. And back to the triangle. They've been able to cut away the tree of DJ, so Cuckoo will find his first Reaper Scythe charge of the game. There's Armel. Well, he's looking to get involved in the action, stepping in along with Januel. They have Raven too, so Cuckoo, very tanky. We see how difficult it is to kill off the Necrophos. But can they punish Fnatic from overstepping the boundary? It looks like they'll run into the Weaver to the north. So that would be Gabby with the finishing blow.
I'm surprised Fnatic's running into this triangle to contest. I have to be honest. It's like, I guess they know because the puck was top, Carl. But like, that's still such a risky place to go into. I guess, yeah, tree root was used and puck wasn't showing, so they had the opportunity to try to go in there, but that was quite a risk to take. And yeah, T1, they're able to clean up the Ancient, get the kill top, and continue just to get the farm. Looking really solid right now.
I think the big thing is as well is that Fnatic, with all their attention put on the triangle with that fight, they didn't have a way to be able to take the T1 tower. Like, that could have been perfect. Yeah. Tree's not defending top, he's not using living armor. Now Jabs is there, and now DJ as well, but it's going to come at a cost. Like, you will be able to trade bottom.
Yeah, it was just very interesting to see how they did that, right? Like the Weaver Monkey King just soaking from the stacks, and then they try to contest, and just pretty reckless, to say the least. It's 3K lead now for T1. Quickly they get that tower trade, as you were mentioning. I mean, Gabby's just having like the freest game ever. He is completely chilling on the sidelines. He's gonna have a Shadow Blade finished up really early, and it's a great Shadow Blade game, as we mentioned, because it feels like Fnatic wants to play this like splitty kind of game. So Shadow Blade on Tiny is gonna work out perfectly to catch out these, you know, this Natured Prophet, this Arc Warden, or even this Invoker on the sidelines. It's top.
Gonna run into Zephyr. I'll be able to find some more earn charges, and he's got Midas back off cooldown shortly as well. So Spirit Vessel soon to be completed.
Okay.
And we are already starting to see some of the defensive items soon to be picked up though from tier 1 as Carl into the Yule Scepter, and I think we might even have a Yules on Cuckoo.
Does he have the whole thing down? Yeah, he does have it finished. Yeah, he does. Well,
top lane, Carl. Coil out. Cuckoo's going to be a little bit too slow. A TP out, but Carl has got the Yules to cancel that, and now poor old Jabs. Oh, he thought he predicted them. He's like, all right, all your stuns are on cooldown, but not Carl. They didn't check the inventory, as that is a big kill to find. Second Scythe charge now for Cuckoo.
Early on, too. Only 14 minutes. 2 side charges. Carl, has he gotten... I feel like he's gotten almost every power rune, right? I think maybe one got contested, but yeah, he's had the Arcane rune there, so Coil's going to be back up in 15 seconds. He got the Illusion rune, too. He's had excellent rune control and utilizing them perfectly. Slowing down the farm, keep catching Jabs. These kills mean a lot, too. It's a pretty high level, high farm Nature's Prophet. And yeah, well, I mean, I feel like Fnatic, it's just... I'm really not sure what their draft does pretty soon now. It's just like, it feels like it's just super farm heavy, tough to take fights. If Monkey King isn't there, it feels like the fight isn't theirs to take. And yeah, it just feels like they're going to be playing this farming game while T1 is just looking to pick them off all over the place with Gabby with the Shadow Blade and with Carl with his Yule Scepter early on. So it feels a little tough for Fnatic to, I mean, get much done around the map, it does feel.
Yeah, especially because T1, they have the potential to go for these pickoffs, but I feel like Fnatic have to put themselves in a position where you're splitting up on the map. You need to play this global aspect where... Because that's what your lineup thrives on. You want to pull them apart and have this Nature's Prophet all of a sudden TPing into a numbers advantage, or the Arc Warden as well, but T1 are not going to give them that opportunity because they're already looking to group up.
Yeah, they're already the ones dictating the pace of the game. They're the ones taking towers objectives. They're the ones actually setting up to catch heroes on the side lane. So it's actually like T1's playing the game almost perfectly, it feels like, versus what Fnatic's draft wants to do. Fnatic just, like I said, I don't know how they actually do stuff on the map now at this point. Like, they have to just kind of play this like super farm game. It's just really tough to catch. It's like Invoker has to be the one to catch, or Monkey King, and DJ's playing for his own farm. DJ's got the Fusel Blade done in a second, so maybe when they have the fuse on everything, and once they all group up, you can see these team fights happening. But yeah, for the next few moments, I think that'll feel a big slowdown for them.
Oh, they might be able to kill off Wymon. A cold snap to be able to cancel the TP, so the Pugner's life will be expended before the rest of T1 are able to show up. So if Fnatic do get something out of the map, or some of their cores are continuing to get their farm.
It's just a 5 position. It's just that Pugner.
Might run into Carl. They're going to replace the ward on the high ground. But, yeah, how do you jump the puck?
Yeah, Zephyr and Carl are hunting.
That lane ward. Nice read from Genuel. Yeah, Sentry just in range of the Observer. They're going to run to Cuckoo, though. He's got the heal sword. Cuckoo is extremely tanky. I don't know if you're going to be able to kill off the Necrophos, but that is Wukong's wasted to no avail on Fnatic. So T1, they can go in.
Yeah, and Gabby's now turned up too, with his Shadow Blade, with his Shard finished with the Echo. I mean, he's quite massive.
He's huge. What?
Yeah.
Oh, this is the thing. You know, fuck, they didn't make stacks for him in game 1. Now game 2, we see multiple stacks provided, and he's top of the net worth by a long shot.
And he's playing into a much easier draft, really. Like, sure, they have the Vessel, which is a bit annoying for him, but there's just like, yeah, there's not really much to actually hold him down, not much to actually burst him either. Like, who's going to kill this Tiny this time around? You know, there's not this Coddle's damage that's just one-shotting him or anything. It's going to be slow and gradual.
His counterpart in the Arc Warden has had the farming steroid for quite some time in the Maelstroms. So he's now already worked up to the Dragonlance, and has got pretty lucky with the Grove Bow as well.
Indeed, indeed. But even like him turning up the fights doesn't feel possible, right? Like that's where my big question mark for Arc Warden is like it feels like he just needs BKB, right? Like if he doesn't have BKB, how do you fight into this? So it feels like he's gonna have his Lance, he looks like he's queuing up his Mjolnir, and then he needs BKB, and then that's when they're gonna be able to potentially 5v5 versus T1, but they're losing map control, right? Like it's 4K lead, Gabby's going wherever he wants, and they're kind of just do whatever they really feel like it on T1. And you're right, like these are very slow games for SEA, man. 7 to 6, 19 minutes.
It's because again, like a lot of the teams early on in this second tour were speaking about fast tempo, that the meta is changing kind of off the back of Gamers Galaxy with Boom winning that, and they were looking to kind of replicate that. And then these past weeks, week 4 to the tail end of week 4 and week 5, really been seeing games slow down, and something that when you know, Southeast Asia, it's always fast action.
Things have changed once, you know, it's like everything's getting closer to TI. People are being more careful, but here we go. Fnatic, they're smoked.
Got a really good ward on the higher ground to give them information. They're going to move to the north by the outpost. Overgrowth will hold them back. They're unable to lay down the Wukong for some control. Gabby's going to try and continue to retreat, but meanwhile, it's just all their ultimates lay it down as they're just in the meat grinder. Jazz will try and BKB TP out. They've already lost 2 back in the front of the pit. The Arc Warden's been caught out. He's trying to stand his ground. He'll get a kill after the death, but oh, it's only on a position 5. Such a worthwhile trade for T1.
Beautiful route. What, he got 3 or 4 heroes, and as you mentioned, the team fights just look a lot easier for T1 to play, right? They have this tanky frontliner with Cuckoo soaking up spells, and then Carl just picks and chooses targets. They all can just pick and choose which target they want because they just have much easier team fight, and Fnatic's is just awkward with this Arc Warden, with this, you know, the Monkey King as their only real setup of stuns. He stunned the 2 heroes on the right side of the fight, and then they had no catch or control inside the Wukong, so the Tiny just walks out of it after getting tornadoed. So really awkward kind of fight that Fnatic forced, and T1 was just ready for.
Yeah, and you mentioned the Overgrowth and how detrimental it was in that team fight. It just kind of cancelled the Wukongs for multiple attempts, and then it gave him that time for T1 to maybe react, bring the numbers in, get out of harm's way, and now we see this net worth lead just continuing to balloon in their favor, and they should get another pick off with the coil available on Carl. And this is pre-blink. This kill should give him the blink. So Carl, will they?
There they go.
Yeah, he doesn't have the ultimate, so let's finally be able to run into the bug. And there we go. Dominating streak. Carl 4-0-4, and I think it's only going to get more difficult to be able to deal with the puck this game.
Yeah, they literally have like no catch for him, right? Like as we mentioned multiple times, it's a very free puck game. He's doing it. He's having an excellent game, doing an excellent job, and yeah, they're continuing to just play like as this unit. And I'm not seeing great ways for Fnatic to get back into this just because of their lack of damage. I really don't see where their damage is going to come from. Unless Arc Warden somehow is able to hold his ground with like alacrity the whole duration of a fight, beating on Tiny and and Necrophos, like, I don't know how they kill these two heroes in particular. Just way too much beef and way too little damage that Fnatic's draft has at this point. They gain damage. They have like two of the heroes, in my opinion, that gain damage based off of items the most. Arc Warden and Nature's Prophet. Like, they need items to actually do stuff.
Jabs, get out. Get out! They've got overgrowth, so there's no hope of a BKB TP. He's still gonna go for it, but Zephyr's stalking, and they wouldn't even need it. They will not even need the overgrowth as Jabs is killed off, but Fnatic, they want the fight.
Okay, I mean, this is bold.
I don't know. Not without Jabs. Let's see how they can start this. A double boundless into the Wukongs. They're trying to focus down Gabby, who's falling lower and lower. The life stream isn't enough. And now Cuckoo, he's soon to be killed off as well. Fnatic taking a team fight with a numbers disadvantage. But Fnatic, they show up huge, taking away 2 lives and almost third. But what was that?
Wow. I mean, that was very unexpected. Perfect connection on both heroes with the stun from the Boundless. And I guess since they saw the puck bottom, they saw Carl showing, they just made this crazy move and it works out. That was beautiful. As I was saying it too, right? I cursed them. The tiny Necrophos, these 2 tanky cores just get perfectly set up on from the double Boundless, double control. They need that a couple more times, but get to see the Arc Warden actually able to hold his ground. Raven, Mjolnir done. On way to BKB. Perhaps some hope for Fnatic.
Definitely that BKB is what we're looking for here for Raven. If he can find that, then the Wukongs can maybe give him a little bit of control as Carl snags back the gem, which they did lose prior with the Tiny going down.
Oh, that would have actually been... That would have been pretty... I didn't even notice that they lost the gem there. That would have been even bigger. Fnatic could have reclaimed a lot of the map, but... Going well. Not playing careful. Loses it right away. Level 19 puck, Carl. Still huge. Still running away with the game.
This is huge, Fog. Look at that. The lane ward bottom with the sentry saw Armel TPing and making his movement, so Gabby almost stepped a little bit too far. And now they might look to connect bottom. The rest of T1's towards the area.
Radiant's middle tower is under attack.
And yeah, I guess Gabby does have to be a little cautious too. I guess I was feeling like he was pretty immortal as well too, but after that top fight, he's probably feeling like, oh, okay, gotta be a little more cautious. Wait till BKB. When he has BKB, he's completely invulnerable. But yeah, they just have to be slightly careful with his positioning of having who's in front. And if they show the puck, as we've seen, like Carl kind of feels like everything, then that's when they can get jumped. But still in a comfortable spot, T1, not to have their feathers rustle too much after that death up top. Just don't want to have that happen too many more times, because as we mentioned, Fnatic, they've gone for full greed. They want this game to go late. They want to go greedy. As we see the item builds, not only just the draft, but the items that they've gone for, right? The Midas before Vessel on Invoker, the Diffusal Rush Monkey King, Arc Warden, just straight Mjolnir, delaying the BKB as long as he can. Just pure greed.
My eyes are kind of towards Roshan next for T1, because I feel like it's a bit difficult for them to just maybe siege down these T2 towers. So is there items we're looking for to enable T1, or how do they set themselves up for being able to take the first Rosh of the game?
For first Rosh, I actually think it's just the BKB Tiny, and they should be pretty okay to set up for it. As long as they have vision in the area, which in theory they should. With Treant and Pugna, they should be able to control area. But yeah, I feel like they could force that Rosh pretty soon. BKB Tiny, and then you can make your way into it. Like one pick off, and then, yeah. You just have to be a little wary, just because there's the Monkey King. Gotta just watch out about the Wukongs around the pit, but...
Yeah, it's always a scary thing, because Fnatic, you've got pretty decent AoE control. T1 have the same as well. You've got Overgrowth, you've got Coil to play with, so it's... We did say there were some issues with T1 with how they can kind of take fights, but now with Double Blink, one on Carl, one on Gabby, it definitely gives them a easier time to start these fights than what we were kind of expecting earlier on.
Hey, Zephyr also, like, something we can't really ever, like, forget about also is Philosopher's Stone, right? We do have Zephyr. He's got the Philly. He's sitting on a Arcane Boot, a Plate Mail, and what I saw was, I think it said he had 2,000 gold, but now it keeps swapping because when people disconnect, so I can't tell how much gold he actually has. It looked like he had like 1,400 or something, so potentially a Lotus Orb already kind of done on the Treant also, so some big items for T1 still that they have to be bringing out, which can also be really nice for the Tiny, for the Puck, playing versus that Spirit Vessel, more ways to protect besides just BKB. So yeah, I mean, it still feels hard for Fnatic, but if they can, they just got to keep drawing the game out and hope that this Arc Warden can carry, which maybe he can.
That's really the question and the thing that we're looking for, because this again is a hero we haven't seen too often. Maybe Fnatic have been experimenting a little bit in some scrims, seeing if it works out or not, but they get to play firsthand against Tier 1, and you were mentioning the BKB, and if you can get to that stage, they're going to need a couple more fights until then, but I think he's got one component completed. He can always disassemble the Dragon Lance for the second component, so if he can find his BKB by the time T1 look to try and take Roshan, then maybe Fnatic can have Arc Warden in a position where he's protected with Wukong's, a lot of control from the Invoker, the Nature's Prophet being an issue, then who knows, maybe that's a fight that Fnatic can, then take the advantage and then potentially get Rosh off the back of it.
Yeah, it's going to be a lot of push-pull with the, BKB timings on both sides. Because as you know, for Fnatic, they also have really good ones. For T1, they have really good timings too, but Fnatic's BKBs, as we mentioned, they're playing a little bit more of a greedy draft. The Arc Warden plus Nature's Prophet, they're the hero. Arc Warden plus Nature's Prophet, they're the ones that really need that BKB to stand toe-to-toe in the fight. So for them, it feels like the BKB is even more important. So I'd say when they get it, yeah, they can look to fight a little bit back more into T1 as they've lost quite a bit of control this game. And just great wards. You pointed out before this ward and obs combo that we saw from T1. I think this is just something really interesting. Not just to scout out those obs wards that are placed in those positions, but like you mentioned, the Ghost Walk, right? Just to see where the Invoker's setting up. I think these two wards are actually really important from T1.
Yeah, also you're playing into a Weaver as well. So it's whenever you're versing any hero that has some form of invis, it's always important to have an observer and a sentry combination, just to be able to, in a high ground position, anything like that. You could, it's potential life or death, being able to scout out a movement that's occurring. That was the case down bottom that I just saw.
What do we have going on? What they said, they have to switch internet or something? Yeah, it looks like it. So, a couple more moments. Sorry, everybody.
Some good old Southeast Asian internet issues. That's okay. We should be back underway shortly. I know you've only gotten 2 games so far from Southeast Asia. Has there been any big difference you've seen so far, I guess, with the style from Western Europe to SEA?
I mean, not really, not a difference, actually a similarity. You were mentioning how the games have slowed down a lot, and I've noticed that much more in the last few weeks. I think it's crunch time, right? We're getting closer to TI. I think teams are being a lot more careful about how they give up kills. For the most part, I've still seen some games where it's like 30-something kills in 16 minutes or whatever, but I've seen a lot of games just be like this. It's like, 10 to 10, 20 minutes, 8 to 7, 17 minutes. Teams are just being a lot more careful. I guess the thing that I noticed in SEA is just, what is it? Sanking was not as highly renowned. Like, it made it to the 4th pick, and I saw even in a lot of the games that it wasn't even first 2 banned. Well, I feel like in Europe, it feels like 100% banned pick, like first 2, so.
Yeah, it's interesting to see just the, at least hero priority going from region to region. It's, of course, unfortunately, now we have China back online. We get to kind of keep our eyes on them and see what hero is there, at least putting priority on, but we don't have that, of course, for Eastern Europe. Whether it was a meme or not, the troll, what's going on, but of course the tier list from Team Spirit, we got to mention that a little bit and be like, they think these heroes are strong. They also maybe don't think it as much, but yeah, well, it's interesting to see kind of the comparison between the 2 regions.
Yeah, I always like seeing just how the difference of what team, like who picks up what first, who understands like, oh, Coddle Pango's broken or something first. It's always cool. And it's always cool to see when things leak into other regions too, where it's just like, oh man, like, support Pugna or mid Coddle or something. It just starts to become getting picked up by everybody. That's cool. And also, like, I didn't get to see any Arc Wardens, right? Like, and now I get an Arc Warden game on my like second game casting SCA. It's pretty cool.
We had a goddamn Meepo earlier on as well.
I heard.
What's going on tonight?
I heard. Did you guys have you guys had much Huskar in SCA?
We have recently.
You guys did as well, right?
Yes. Recently, I think last week throughout the tail end, Fnatic picked it up in one game versus Boom that they lost. There was another one I saw T1 played it against Boom and they won that game. So yeah, we're getting a little bit more Huskers lately. It seems to be later on. I think I saw OG playing the Husker a decent amount. I'm not sure if
first
any other
two
teams
as well.
have been playing it. Yeah.
A lot of the times they were doing it first too. It was also Entity, but that's, I mean, Entity was more because it was. That's the thing too. It's like OG is Entity, right? Because it's BZM. It's like a lot of these players that literally played all together. So like they already had the same like ideas of stuff. So like Huskar was getting first two by Amar, who played with Crystalis, who is a big Huskar fan. So there's a lot of things I feel like that just was because of similar ideas that they all played together. But yeah, it was cool to see how some dynamics did change. The other one was like CK started becoming has been becoming more and more popular, which I saw at least. It's starting to come a little bit more in SEA, but it's taking a little more time.
I think we have a little bit more emphasis on different carry heroes in particular than like Chaos Knight at Simming in Western Europe. It's very often picked as a position 1, and we're getting it a little bit more as a position 3 as well, just to flex. I think we saw earlier today with Mizu's Chaos Knight, and even his first couple of games when he stepped into position 3, he was always a big fan of the CK. Of course, very different look of the hero at the moment. Just to keep everyone up to date as well, we are still having some disconnection issues. They back and forth we go. It looks like ping is not working out in T1's favor, but
T1's struggling.
Get this one sorted. They are.
They're running out of time. They're at 1 minute left, I think.
I don't. It was this game where Fnatic had the pause as well, so I don't know if they're gonna have too much reserve time to give over to T1 if that's the case.
Yeah, they're just having lag. I mean, we have had situations, right, where teams have given up their time, but you can only give up so much, right? It's 10 minutes and then 10 minutes and then it's done. So let's hope T1, they're all back in. Let's hope that lag is fixed.
Oh.
Just kidding, Zephyr's gone.
Oh, they're back out. All right. Well, yeah, we do have the major coming up shortly. Of course, don't know what's going on with regions, but I think in particular, it's you were just mentioning about kind of the meta trickling down from region to region. I think that's where it really is the most exciting thing. We get all the regions battling it out in one location. We get to see it's a test. It's almost like just kind of flexing the ego in a way where people are like, my meta's a little bit stronger. And there we go. We do have a unpause underway, and we are back with the action.
And it's going to probably be into a fight almost immediately, it looks like. Except for he's got a smoke. As we said, also, he was very close to Lotus. He's about to have that finished up, which could be a huge pickup for the tree. All right, got to reset ourselves back into the game. As we mentioned, Fnatic still on back foot, had a decent fight, but still looking to get some farm online. They have the BKB on Nature's Prophet. I believe BKB is done on the Invoker now too, and Raven is very close to his. So once we have triple BKBs on Fnatic, could see them look to fight back into T1 because they're still at this disadvantage. But before that, I would be surprised if Fnatic looked to pick a fight.
It definitely feels like it's the time in the game where T1 need to force something. Maybe though, because yeah, with Gabby still looking to try and find this BKB, but
how close?
Have this?
He's very close.
Yeah. Huh? Smoke. 5
They're
man.
gonna do it.
They don't have some objectives. Maybe if they move to the triangle, get a pick off, and then lead that into Roche.
Armel has BKB though, so they have to combo it with like the Tiny perfectly. They have to get him like immediately with the Tiny. If they're gonna go for him, that is. Going well. Looks like he's gonna be the one to walk into them.
Armel.
Oh, he has BKB though.
Early BKB is going to do just that. Overgrowth keeping Armel in place. Gabby's
Misses
waiting the
his
wings,
combo.
trying to find the angle. He's going to go to the west instead. Is Gabby an easy 1-2 punch? Will cut away the life for Genuel. Let's see what they want to get out of this. Maybe just the T1 top.
Great ward control. Again, T1, just that left ward that we mentioned from earlier. Spots the Weaver for a second, as well as that ward that they have on the high ground. So they pick and choose their thing, but they don't get Armel, as we say. No BKB, if the Tiny doesn't jump him, he's going to get it off. So he's able to be okay. And it's just a Weaver kill, who is the 5 position. It is a full 5 Weaver if you've looked. Double fluffy hat cloak. He's so poor.
One interesting thing to mention while we wait is that Jabs is going to the Witchblade, which I have to imagine is then into the Revenant's Brooch to
Oh, cool.
maybe help out versus the Necrophos.
I mean, that would be really cool if we. It's very expensive. It is only just the 5 hits, of course, of that True Strike plus that piercing, whatever, but can be cool. Bottom, we see them setting up attempting for Carl. But yeah, it's kind of interesting to see that Jabs has gone for this build rather than going for an Orchid in this game, right? Like BKB Orchid versus Puck. I thought might be an option for him, but no. He's just gone straight for later scaling, is what I want to call this.
Well, the Orca was actually the first item he had queued up.
Yeah, that's...
Oh no! In again goes Gabby, and there was almost a hope for a time lapse, but Gabby gets back-to-back kills in the Weaver.
Could that open up Roche for them? They're gonna start it.
They want up down to TP2, and they've got really good control in the area. Even though they lost the ward by the triangle, they still have one by the top power room. It's take it fast though.
Yeah, they have no medallion. Tiny not the best clear for it. So they're gonna look for a gank potentially. They see Armel in mid. DJ, he's smoked. Oh,
Gabby, plus back. DJ in the river, no escape as they find another scythe kill. Cuckoo 4 charges, back to Roche they go. Now, with all this going on, bottom tier tower is falling, so Jab's at least getting something out of the map.
Dire's bottom tower has fallen.
but a Roche for sure. Once the Monkey King's dead, there's no way you can contest the Roche. On the side of Fnatic, great grab from T1. I mean, Jabs, he's Jabs.
No way, no way. He's toying with them. He's like, yeah, you know, there's maybe a chance. He did free up an item slot. I mean, it's only an item branch, nothing crazy, but...
He thought about it. Sitting around the triangle, they're denying this farm away from it, the side of T1. T1 knew that. They don't have a ward there, but they knew that they were in this area. They were pinging it out. And are these BKBs done now? They are. So Raven has his. As we mentioned, Invoker has his. Nature's Prophet has his. So this is where Fnatic is likely feeling a bit stronger, but it still isn't feeling so great into what they're playing up against. T1 just continuing to just get more and more out of the map. Gabby just having a free game, 4-1 and 3. Already on to his next item. Soon Silver Edge done.
This Sentry War on T1 had the full duration by the Ancients, which at this stage of the game, I would never expect that. So that is just a ridiculous amount of farm that's been taken away from Raven.
Jabs, there's a ward.
On bottom, yeah,
The Tinker ward.
Jabs. There's not much he can do.
Here. He's waiting.
Yeah, he's just stalking on the tree line, and again, there won't even be a threat of the overgrowth. They've done way too much damage, and Jabs is just on the duty of trying to split push out the map and delay for as long as possible.
You know, it's, you know, we keep mentioning the delay. You know, they're delaying for the Arc Warden. Raven, he's 6-2 and 3. He's got his items. You know, the Scotty after this BKB Mjolnir, I guess, is now going to be the big fight thing for him to be able to kite and Tiny and everything, but I'm not feeling it, Ares. Like, I still don't even feel like he's ever going to be able to do anything.
Okay, I think this Scotty is huge. I feel like if they don't get Raven to start, because they are, again, very immobile, and if they can lay down the Wukong, so I imagine what the play is for T1. You try and coil Raven, so then Tiny can get on top of him. But if you put Wukongs down, everyone around, if Raven can survive the coil, then reset, all of a sudden T1 are trying to butt their heads in a position where you have to commit into a fight. That there's no other option for you. It's either commit, or if you try and run away, you're getting slowed by Scotty. And I think that is...
My fear is that they're just they're not getting, I mean, they're losing too much of the map. Is that, like, Puck's gonna hit 25, Tiny's gonna hit 25, and then congrats, you have your BKBs, but you're stuck, and Tiny will be able to get on you. That's my really big worry here for Fnatic. It's just that even though they are playing their game where they're split pushing, it just feels like they're getting nothing but the split push. Like, they're just getting out farmed and out resourced, and I don't think it doesn't feel like they outscale with how far behind they are. Like, I can understand Arc Warden outscaling Tiny in the matchup, but it just feels like it's going to be hard from how big Carl is and how much of a free game the Puck has. But we'll see. I mean, if they're able to do it, it's going to be pretty miraculous, but it's feeling really difficult for Raven.
See what they can do. With the help of DJ, it's going to force out at least some item usage, but only brings down Cuckoo to about half health. Be forced to glyph up the T2 tower just to hold back Tier 1 for a moment.
I guess it's gonna come down to later stages of, like, high ground defense, right? It's like, how much is Fnatic gonna be able to do from high ground, and is T1 ever gonna be able to break that? I guess that's what we'll get down to now, since we're approaching these later stages.
I think that's where Fnatic, if there's an angle back in, I think it's off their high ground defense.
Ooh,
That's going to be
what a
the
play.
tricky thing is Carl. Yeah, I saw the
Nice
psychic
headband.
Carl has got all the tricks under his belt, 6-0 and 6, and he's working on the Octarine next. They are setting up for him down bottom, but can we ever kill him?
He's
He
gonna
all
get
in.
stunned.
He's got Yules, Silence is out, Armel soon to fall up as well.
And he's out.
Yeah.
That was just the Mindbreaker silence, the one little hit there. It's the only thing they have really to catch. Raven, giving him some money.
Doubles.
That's a lot.
300. So much. Now he's like, thank you very much. Top of the net worth with ease. 4,000 comparison between the position ones. And look at the position he's farming as well. Just at the front of the T3 tower. Really no care with Gabby.
Dude, I mean, like Carl's about to hit 25, so we're mentioning like that's one of the things, at least for me, is Dream Coil Pierce's magic immunity is going to be huge for them. I think this is going to be a 9-second BKB from Raven that he gets coiled and he can't walk out of the coil. Like the first BKB usage and he's stuck inside of it.
Oh, and it's not like they're ever... Like, Raven is not itemizing for pickoffs in a way. It's no Hex, no Bloodthorn, nothing like that. Armel does have a Hex queued up, and he's got about 3,300 gold in the bank. But that's really, I think, your only way to kill the puck. I think we have to wait till Armel gets his item.
And being honest, it's like, even catching it, look at Carl's HP. Like, Carl is not squishy. This is a 2,600 HP puck, you know, and he's got backup. He's got Lotus, he's got heals from Pugna. They have damage reduction from Pugna Ward too, so yeah, things still continuing to look really hard for Fnatic. No BKB yet on DJ either, so for the Monkey King, he'll get his Wukong off, but then he'll just die almost immediately after. And yeah, I think T1, they're really feeling their strength. Starting to look for something with the smoke.
They played from Genuel though, pops the smoke. So this will give them some information with the positioning on T1, so Jab's instantly trying to shove out bottom.
AC finished up on
Oh, Carl again!
What a play.
Dude, he's...
And he gets the Yules,
timing.
and he gets the silence.
Carl. Dude,
MVP.
relax.
MVP of the game.
Oh. On top. Zephyr almost running into the Monkey King there, but yep, cat and mouse, that's the name of the game, kid.
Yeah, it's cat and mouse where they're not getting more on the map.
Yeah.
So it's like Tiny's 25 with an MKB.
But Fogg, you brought up earlier the Sprout on Jabs. He is level 20 now.
Okay.
So maybe you can, like, that's a pretty good way to kite the Tiny. That's maybe a way to get some stuns onto the puck.
Well, he still can get. They do have a force staff, so Pugna can just force him out. They still can play around it pretty decently.
Right, one's on cleanup duty. T1 tower still hasn't even fallen mid as well. That's up to Zephyr. Who blink Lotus Orb. He's even got what, double. He wants double phase. Yeah, why not go for another phase boots after the one he's already completed? Phase on tree. It's very interesting.
I was about to say, it's like I think he just bought some luxury item right here.
What item do I need? He's got Philosopher's Stone, all the gold he would ever require.
Lotus is all he really needs. He's got the cheeky Aghanim queued up next, but
The tree eggs. It's a pipe dream.
it really
Like,
is.
Is his item like really that good with how easy it is to get rid of the trees?
It's permanent vision. Well, quote unquote permanent.
Yeah.
It's pesky vision.
Alright, well, Armo's... I imagine he buys out for this Hex. He's about to have enough, and Raven's almost got the Skadi, so they are getting close to some item timings before next Roche, and this could put Fnatic in a position where maybe they can just edge out some trade.
How do you win a fight? Like, you're so reliant on your BKBs, and you're playing versus this coil that just ruins you. Like, Carl is just having a field day the whole game, and now it's where it's like even more fun begins. 25 puck with all these items, going toward overwhelming. There is the Hex though, so that's the one thing could trip him up.
feels like it's difficult to get that numbers advantage because T1 they've gone into multiple boosted travel, one on Cuckoo, one on Carl, so they've recognized that this is kind of the game plan from Fnatic.
They've done a really good job of just dealing with the split push at all times. Like either the puck or a lot of the times we saw the Pugna, right? Like Whitemon's been catching and killing Treants. So constantly having to deal with side lanes, but they always have the bots to join in.
Well,
the rat continues.
On Armel. Yeah. It's just see maybe how some tier 4 neutral items can shape up for Fnatic as well, but they're making sure that you really can't play too far away from this top triangle.
They're forcing something here. Not going to farm their tier 4 items.
The Rays stay down. So difficult to enter the high ground.
And the split push continues. The Treants now starting to force a reaction.
Maybe you smoke now. What's the play? You still want to be around your vision, but you did get the recognition of puck TPing bottom.
Can they catch anything?
Actually get pretty aggressive. Just out he goes. Down to Gabby committed in. Stuck in the sprout. Minimal damage that Raven's doing. Decrep's going to give Gabby a little bit of time to make it up the higher ground, but still down to half health. Alacrity given over to the Tempest double. Look at this damage. Raven is actually doing God's work with the Alacrity. Of course, that is the 20 talent as well.
Okay. They forced, they forced some heroes. Gabby, you can see how patient he is, holding the BKB the whole duration, has his teammates behind him. T1 still looking to force something. Nothing was committed, really, from either side.
Whenever T1 show, it's instantly jabs trying to shove out bottom, force reactions, and then Fnatic seeing who they can catch up. Raven does have level 20, so the spark rate damage, but I think another important one is just the ninja gear. A little bit of movement speed, a little bit of agi, but just being able to hide out of vision.
He's given up a lot of gold with these Tempest doubles, though. How many? I don't know how many that's been. That's like the 6th or something I've seen that killed.
Yeah, a bit too many.
Yeah, so Gabby's getting, I mean, look at these net worths, right? They're just continuing to stay ahead, and a heart now for Cuckoo as well. We're mentioning some damage issues perhaps on Fnatic. They're starting to get better damage because of those items coming out, but, T1, they're still looking to tank up even more. Almost overwhelming blink on the puck, Carl, as we said. Free game. And split push commences. Bottom, we see the Treants starting to do their thing already. T1 hunting, claiming a high ground.
Well, he's trying into the fight. Gabby will jump on the Weaver, but Gabby once again is committed into the middle. Doesn't want to force out an early BKB, but that's where Whitemon comes into play.
That's where the split push kicks in too, like watching bottom the whole time.
The play on Fnatic. Do you try and cancel some TPs or force T1 to stay in the area? But they are very defensive back to the T2 tower.
Now they're going to try to stop some TPs. Look, Jabs is porting bottom. Starting to scout.
Jabs for a little while. 15 seconds without the Nature's Prophet.
Carl's on him.
But they might have caught him out. Bottom lane, Carl is going to move down with the help of Zephyr. Coil dropped if required, and there we go. Comes into play as Jabs tries to stand his ground to potentially kill off Zephyr, but they don't even have the damage. Now back to the river. Gabby, it's a huge catch onto Armel's Invoker. Now they've also ran into Raven. And BKB looking to stand his ground on the high ground, beating into Gabby, but Whitemon the medic making sure there's minimal damage dealt into Gabby's Tiny. It's Fnatic. Multiple buybacks, but they will get nothing out of it as T1 robbed them of everything.
Oh, they just walk away. T1, it's just a perfect prep. The puck, he's bottom, but the tree shows up too just in case because he needs the root to stop this Nature's Prophet coming back in. Puck is so farmed, his bots comes back up, he's able to join the fight in too, and then they just walk out of Wukongs. 2 buybacks, Armel gets caught. If Armel dies, it's just game over. 24,000 lead for T1 now. Keeping this lead up, growing it even more. Perfect control in fights, says Cuckoo. And Gabby.
Oh, they got the
feeling
vision.
their strength. Oh.
Oh no.
Uh-oh.
Oh. That's horrible timing. You don't have a lot of time as well with this pause.
No, and look at, like, Raven just popped his Tempest. Like, they're looking to beat on Gabby. He's a little split. Cuckoo's there with a Lotus, so should be able to probably protect him, but BKB's on cooldown for Gabby. This could be perhaps the chance that Fnatic needs to get a big kick out. And they're out of pause time.
Oh no. Unpause back into play. They're trying to do whatever they can to keep Gabby alive, and the supports once again giving the breathing room required for Gabby to reset. Fnatic, they have to be so cautious. Their positioning. Armel sidesteps the coil.
He's so
they
lucky.
Dodge a bullet.
Oh my god, that Armel is so lucky there. Coil just missed. Carl got greedy. He went for getting both the illusion or the Tempest double as well as the Invoker. If he just gets the Invoker there, that's probably could just be game over. But Armel, bit lucky there.
Dire's middle tower is under attack.
27 on the puck. Overwhelming blink done if he looks to purchase it. We also saw, of course, Zephyr. He switched up his. He's not going for Aghanims. He has a Force Staff for his Tiny. Gets him out of the leash. And now Tiny with DD with Leveler.
Oh no. Oh, it might just one hit majority of the heroes on Fnatic.
Indeed. Tempted. Very tempted. Carl's fishing. Oh, I guess he'll just settle for 300 gold from another Tempest double.
You might consider giving up Roche just to maybe hit bottom, but you can't even like force it heavily because of the overgrowth and the coil through BKB. It's not like you can really commit to maybe get the rat game on.
No, and honestly though, like the thing is too, let's say you even get this tower. Let's say you even get the racks. Does T1 even care? That's the one thing I'm looking like. They have heroes and they have the itemization, as you mentioned, with the bots to address a lane of racks being brought down. So T1.
Oh, they're jumping instantly. Gabby Hex out of the moment, but good luck killing the Tiny. 3,900 health, and they just evacuate away from the area as Carl. I feel like he's got the world at his fingertips, wanting to do whatever he can to hold back Fnatic, and looks like without the Tempest double, without the life of the Monkey King, this Rose should be given over for free.
They're being a bit annoying, just poking and poking while Jabs TP's out, but T1 looking to stop that, get rid of that ward, look for perhaps getting a kill before they look to finish out that Roshan. They will finish it out. Fnatic, they cannot contest.
What's the play now? I'm surprised at the 13% probability for Fnatic.
Me too. I thought it was going to be 2% when I opened it or something, 1%. Feels, yeah, very impossible. What, they've only had 11 kills for how long now, right? It's just been them split pushing literally for 20-something minutes. They can't find anything.
You're just really hoping now that your high ground defense is something to fear. Invoker, Arc Warden, really solid high ground defenders. Monkey's not the worst as well with Wukong's, but
you'll never outscale. You'll never outscale this. Like, it's just not gonna happen. It's just too free. They have the whole map. Carl is full. He's full slotted. Like, oh well. Besides buying an Aghanims and eating it, he's full slotted. He's gonna have a Wind Waker done in a second too. It's crazy.
Oh my lord, it's even a puck without an Aeon Disc. Like, Aeon Disc is a hell of an item for the puck just with how your playstyle is, and he hasn't even considered it. 8-0 and 7, he's just had such an exceptional game. It's been both games now, it's position 2s. Armel in game 1 on the Keeper of the Light, now Carl on game 2 with his puck.
Yeah, they gotta be careful of these last picks, for sure. Cuckoo, didn't mention it, he's also hitting 25. What was that?
I was just going to say, is this something you're considering now? Like, because I think we're in a position where Game 3 is more than likely on the agenda. So are both sides considering this second pick, first pick priority? Because we have seen Coddle Game 1 and now Puck Game 2. They were both last picks.
I think probably, yeah. But honestly, it just seems huge. It feels like this one was... He's done so much work on this puck, right? 8-0-7, but that doesn't feel like it even tells the tale of what Carl's done of the space making and how much pressure he's applied on the map. He just makes everyone so afraid to do anything. Gabby?
Tempest double up shortly for Raven. Buyback still on cooldown for Armel along with Jabs. 2 minutes 40 until they're back and available.
It's scary for Fnatic too, because like the poke from Carl makes you almost tempted to use BKB a lot of the times. An overwhelming blink plus an orb plus a silence, it's like 1,000 something damage. So they continue just being, you can tell their fingers on the trigger to kick those BKBs because they could just die from a Reaper. As yeah, Rax gets taken out and they go back and deal with those lanes on the side of T1. Looks like it will be an Aghanim's that's going to be eaten from the puck instead of going for Wind Waker soon. He said world is his oyster.
This is actually good. Like,
no, but why not?
Yeah, that's right. Why not?
The knockback is nice. The knockback is nice with the coil. It's kind of cool.
Invis detector as well, which is, I guess, nice. First Invoker versus the Weaver. They are trying to get set up at the front of the T2 tower. Yeah,
Look
they
at
just
DJ.
front of the minute 50.
DJ chilling in a very risky spot as he spotted. Another one.
Catch him out. Well, the DJ will pounce out the safety. Now it's a Tempest double. There we go. Decrypt, 4-staff out, and all the damage that this Tempest double is kind of providing is instantly mitigated.
Yeah, great plays. Great support plays, really, from T1. Instant 4 staffs, instant Lotus Orbs, instantly protecting their cores. Just the patience they're having from hanging on to BKBs, right? Gabby's is still 8 seconds. They're just really trusting in one another.
Just what comes over time for T1. Of course, they start to 2-2. So a slow one with their series loss versus Polaris, but they've been growing in power every game and every series, and that chemistry has been building. And we see they're in a position where they should be pushed to a game 3, and a game 3 that could decide if they can qualify to the major or not off the back of this series. But open for, well, we were, the question was given as well at the end of the panel, asking how long this game was going to go for. It's always a question mark when you're against the Arc Wardens, but what's going on bottom lane? Okay, Nature's Prophet's been caught out. Well, it's been Jabs' role the entirety of the game to try and make space and try and split push the map, but his life will be cut apart as Cuckoo. Another charge, 110 seconds. That's even showing the change in the Necrophos. That is the dieback on Jabs.
Oh boy, I'm actually just gonna look. When was the last time they did get a kill? I think it was like 20 minutes ago, right? Okay, they killed Cuckoo's Necrophos at the 28-minute mark. It's been 20 minutes since they got a kill. So it's just literally been split push for 20 minutes. And everyone just listened to us talk about them split pushing for 20 minutes and killing them.
Oh, the comms must be so rough on Fnatic. You at least have a buyback on Jabs, so it is back and available.
I'm sure they're talking about just like, oh, that's a sick ward. Oh, the grab.
Gabby won! Oh my lord, that combination onto 2. They just walk together, hand in hand, and they'll join each other in the grave. Multiple buybacks are out for Fnatic. They need to get something out of this. But again, T1, they just walk away. They just walk away.
And that was Raven's, his real hero. That was his BKB on the real hero. So that's like, he can't even commit at all with even his BKB. He doesn't do any damage. He starts hitting Gabby. Gabby gets decrypt. I think he has like 1 auto attack in onto the Tiny. 41,000 lead. 10,000 gold on Gabby. Unsure what to buy. He had Satanic Q. Now he's got Butterfly Q. Now he's back to Satanic. Too much gold to know what to do with. Okay, let's see.
Zeph is in prime position. A double boundless white one behind. They'll finally get a kill.
They got a kill.
20 plus minutes after the previous one. And that is Gem also picked up on Genuel, but T1. Multiple heroes in the area. If Fnatic, they can get a little bit more aggressive off the back of the kill.
But they got a kill. It's been 20 minutes, but they got one. But now Zephyr, Zephyr dies, and he's like, all right, you know what? Now I'm buying an Ags, because screw you. Now he's got an Ags on the tree for even more map control. And honestly, versus like split push and versus Nature's Prophet, it's actually very good. So as much as we memed about it, it is a pretty good pickup anyway, even though they don't need it by any means this game. 40,000 gold lead.
The one thing is that, oh, never mind. Gabby's just gonna brute force this high ground.
Oh,
Waiting.
okay.
They get the instant hex, a lot of damage. Wyman off to the side,
Gabby?
but still they've blown up Gabby. Tiny's killed off. Now they're on to Cuckoo. Carl's still trying to provide as much chaos as he possibly can. Cuckoo with a ghost shot, protecting for the duration, trying to juke to the right side of the fight, but Carl again in he goes. Potentially can snag the gem, but just the chaos. Carl, look at how aggressive he's playing. Back to the outpost. Amel looking to jump, but Carl, dude, Carl's
He's
puck
just-
is
yeah.
nutty.
Spell Prism, Octarine late game puck level 30. He is just having a full game, but they got Gabby. They got a second one, and it's a big one. You know, it's small gains, but something to get you on the board. We're starting to see Raven actually able to hit people. He's actually going to break the trio of top net worth in a second here. He's starting to hit maybe hard enough.
Fuck, this
I don't
probably
even-
was at 8. It was 8%. Now it's 21. Off like 3 minutes. Okay. So obviously
Okay.
it's an Arc Warden lover, but there's no way.
I think Gabby didn't even like pop BKB, nothing. Like he just stood there getting killed by Wukongs and everything. So maybe they're like looking, they're like, what the hell, Gabby? What are you doing? Donapus is wondering what Gabby's doing.
They were able to reclaim the gem as well with the courier.
Yep.
So nice little micro. They already had one, I believe, on DJ. So double gem back in the hands of Fnatic.
Whitemon's got one now too, though. I think he bought another one for the Pugnook.
Okay. No. Oh, they're actually
Zephyr,
keeping it to
the
top.
bots
The
too.
boots of travel armor, instant BKB, but it's not going to matter. Overgrowth and coil, everything they would desire to lock Armel in place. They're already hunting for more. They're trying to catch any stragglers, but Fnatic, they're out of the area.
I mean, Carl's honestly the carry. Who needs a tiny? Like Carl is now at another 6,000 gold after eating Ags and buying Wind Waker. Soon, nothing else he can do. Just a Moon Shard.
What's actually the play? Did you go just casual Aeon Disc into Moonshard for Gabby?
For Gabby,
I mean, like, does Carl buy Aeon Disc for himself and then get a Moonshard for Gabby?
I mean, he's at least saving buyback.
He doesn't need buyback. Come on, dog. He's 11-0 and 9. He's not going to die this game. He's flawless.
It's true.
He'll keep that run. Again, they're looking at TP into the Train Protector in the tree line. Only a measly Tempest double, but that is not measly. It's still plus 300 gold that you are continuing to give over, which it maybe a 41,000 net worth lead. It might not be as much, but it's so much gold they go over earlier in the game.
Radiant's top tower is under
Let's see. On to high ground. 40 seconds.
Playing this one. It's a
Oh,
bit
Carl.
rushed. They could take Roche. Okay, tree's gonna be claimed. Zephyr. Nicely doing instant use of the scythe. No messing around from Cuckoo. Wants to put the Monkey King in the grave. He doesn't have a buyback. Now further inside. Armel's gonna be forced to buy back. They're onto Cuckoo. A lot of damage to the Necroforce, but Gabby follows up. Inside the base they go. The BKB can stand his ground as there's no answer. This cleave is all they would need as Gabby just shreds them apart. Buybacks are lacking. They get one out of the Arc Warden, but a 2-on-5.
And it is the dieback from several different heroes as Gabby finally gets to play after dying before. And now they can close it out.
Just being
Felt like it was a long
very-
time coming, but wow.
Yeah.
What a
Very
performance
long
again.
time. I mean, Carl went 11-0 and 13, and in the end, T1, they get to force it to a game 3. Like you said, a long time coming, 55 minutes in, but what a solid showing from them, being able to stem the momentum that Fnatic were building off that game 1 performance.
Yeah, no, definitely. That was just clean, controlled. Fnatic just trying to split push all game. I think they quickly realized that their draft just fell apart too much early on, and yeah, T1 just controlled lanes and then just dominated. Carl, the last pick, these last pick mids seem to be seem to be everything so far this series.
Yeah, that they do. It's an interesting draft from Fnatic, though. We were kind of saying that from the panel throughout the draft and through the entirety of that game, that it was a different look, a different dynamic of a draft from Fnatic. Unfortunately, they weren't able to pull it off, but we get the all-desired Game 3. It's such an exciting matchup. Fnatic versus T1, a potential qualifying spot to the major on the line if T1 can take this next game, but we will find out after the break.